Hi, welcome to Bonita's Kitchen and thank you for joining us. What I'm going to be making for you today is cabbage casserole. And this is a quick and easy cabbage casserole dish that I've been having so many requests for, to show more, to bring more dishes out there that we only get to do in one pot. So let's get started on telling you what our ingredients is. I'm going to be using in this cabbage casserole today a fresh local cabbage, but I'm going to be using half of it. A medium onion grated up, some salt, pepper, onion powder. We're going to be using rice. You could use long grain rice or a rice of choice, but if you're using a wheat or a brown rice, you may need to cook it a little bit in advance. We're going to be using cream of chicken soup. You could use cream of mushroom, cream of celery, whichever one you like, plus we're using a cup of broth. So let's get started. Ground beef of course, but let's get started on putting this delicious one dish casserole together. Okay, so what we're going to do first is cut our cabbage in half. I don't need the full cabbage. This is well, I'm going to say a small to a medium cabbage, because we can get cabbage pretty big here in Newfoundland. So I'm just going to cut this one in half, and then I'm going to show you what's next. And then what I'm going to do is cut off this little chunks that's on the bottom of your cabbage. I guess you can call it the root. And before you do any of that, just give your cabbage a nice washing over some cold water, because this is going to be grated right into the bowl, and we won't be washing it after that. So just get yourself a grater. I'm going to be using the green leaves and all, and just grate it down until you got it all done. I'm also going to be grating in here some of the green cabbage, because that's actually my favorite out of all of it. So I'm just about done grating the cabbage here now. And it don't have to be perfect, because this is mainly just to have the shredded cabbage in this casserole. And then what we're going to do then is going to be doing the same thing with the onion. I want to grate up the onion. Okay, so now that I got the cabbage grated, I'm getting ready to do the onion. So leaving the bud on, cutting off the top part and then peeling off the peel. And I want to keep this like this so as I can hold on to it for grating. So I'll do it with the other one, and then let's get started. Before I do, this is the grate I use for the cabbage, the knife part, and this is the grate I'm going to use for the onion. So let's get going on that. So pretty much all we're going to do is grate the full medium onion into this bowl. The reason for grating it, usually I would do it in cubes. I don't want to have big chunks of onion into this meal. I want it to just be, as you can see, just the grated part with all of that juice from the onion, because when you grate it, you actually bring out all that juice. So I'm going to continue doing this, and I'll show you what's next. Okay, I'm just about finishing grating up this onion. And now what I'm going to do is go wash up and get my tears taken off, because it makes me cry every time. So let's get started on the next step. Okay, so now that we got our onion all grated up and I got my tears and stuff wiped away, I can still never get to figure out how to stop crying when I'm peeling onion. So what we're going to use now is a half a cup of rice of choice. And like I was saying to you earlier, if you're using a multi-grain rice or a wheat rice, you might want to pre-cook it a little bit first, because it won't cook as quick, because this meal is only 45 minutes to an hour to cook, and sometimes those grainy rice takes a little bit longer. So I'm going to start adding in the ingredients now to the onion, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so that's our half a cup of rice, right in with the grated onion. I'm going to say a pinch of pepper, but you use your discretion. If you want a teaspoonful or half teaspoonful, that's fine. And the same thing with the salt. I'm using a pinch, but you can use your discretion on what you want. A teaspoonful of onion powder. I'm going to mix this together. Okay, so that's mixed together. I'm going to put just a little drizzle of olive oil. You can eyeball it. And then I'm going to be adding in a lean ground beef. You could use extra lean, or you could use half and half. Half regular, half lean. I've rinsed this, washed the ground beef in advance. And now I'll just put it right on in to this mixture. Okay, so I'm just going to dry my hands from that. So what we're doing here now is mixing this equally in together. So like I was saying, this is a simple, quick and easy cabbage casserole dish. And it almost puts you in mind of the lazy cabbage rolls that's there. But we're not going to be using a tomato base. We're going to be using a cream base, which I'm going to leave that to you. It could either be cream of mushroom, cream of celery, cream of chicken, whichever one you like to use. So that's all you got to do right there. So I'm going to be using a full can of cream of mushroom soup. And again, like I said, you use your discretion on what cream soup that you'd like to use. Because some people don't like the cream of mushroom, and for us, we don't mind either one. And now I got a cup of broth. I used just a vegetable broth poured into that because I want to clean that dish out. And so just mix this around until it's all incorporated. Okay, so this comes to the fun part of our cabbage casserole dish. We're going to be layering this into our casserole dish now, starting with our shredded cabbage first. We'll be putting a nice layer on the bottom. So just layer that on the bottom like that. It doesn't matter if you've got pieces of green leaves there, because like I said, that's the best kind. I'm going to put a pinch of salt again, and a pinch of pepper, and just a little drizzle of olive oil again. So what we're going to do now is take off a layer of our ground beef and rice mixture and just spread over the top of the shredded cabbage like this. Then we're going to do another small layer of the cabbage, because maybe I might have needed a bigger casserole dish, but I'm just showing you the method of this here. If you want to use a big long casserole dish or a roaster, that's entirely up to you. But this, like I said, either way you make it, you're going to love it. Another pinch of salt and pepper, but you don't need olive oil at this point. It's just the bottom layer so that it don't stick to the pan. So put the remainder of your ground beef mixture into your casserole dish. I hope I'm making you hungry to make this dish. And remember, if you worked with cabbage before, cabbage, what they would call wilts. It'll get smaller as it cooks. Right now it looks like, oh my gosh, we're not going to have enough room for this. But once this starts to cook, it'll be a lot smaller. It'll start to condense. But right now we're going to be topping it with some more shredded cabbage. And as you can see, you only needed the half of a cabbage, unless you wanted to make a big long casserole dish full. That's fine too. And top it with the salt and pepper again, just to equally season the cabbage and the mixture that we got there. And you got a cup of broth. You may not need to use all of this. You use some first, and then if you need to use some after when it's part cooked, so you just pour it right onto the casserole dish. leaving a little bit or half of it for just in case, like you said, when it starts to cook, if it looks like you need to add a little bit more. So pretty much that's all we're going to do with this. I'll show you what we're going to do next. What we're also going to do before we put our cabbage casserole in the oven, I'm going to use a pizza pan in under mine. You can use a cookie sheet, just in case when it starts to bubble, because it's going to bubble and get all that goodness work together, it may go out over a little bit until it's all cooked. You take a piece of foil wrap if you're using a casserole dish with no lid, or if you wanted to use a pan with a lid, that's fine too. So just pinch it down, because what we want to do here now is lock in the steam. When it starts to cook, I want for the steam to start cooking and opening up that rice and cooking the cabbage. So what we're going to be doing next is putting this delicious cabbage casserole dish in a preheated oven of 350 degrees of heat. When it's ready to go in, put your timer on for 1 hour. About a half an hour into cooking this, check to make sure you don't need to add in a little bit more of this broth that you kept to the side. If not, seal it down again, being careful of course, putting it back into the oven covered. Meet me back here in 1 hour when this one is cooked, and I'll show you what it looks like. Welcome back to Bonita's kitchen, and our cabbage casserole is done. Now the big reveal. And the steam, oh my, and it smells absolutely delicious in here. Remember when you put your cabbage casserole in the oven, depending on your oven, it could take a little bit less, a little bit longer, and if you want to turn it up a little bit higher, if you want it to cook quicker, that's fine too. But this is what it looks like. I'm going to scoop up a nice helping, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, I'm going to scoop up a nice helping, and I also got, just in case, maybe you might like to have it with yours as well, I got some toasted sesame seeds, and these are pretty much all you need to do is put it in your frying pan and just brown it off, and then you can just sprinkle over the top of your individual meal and put a little bit of green onion over the top just to brighten it up a little bit, and that's what it looks like. Absolutely delicious. I'm also going to put a little sprinkle of pepper, extra pepper over mine. Now I'm going to take a nice helping. Tell you what it tastes like. All of the flavors infused together, but the cabbage incorporated with the ground beef and the rice. Absolutely delicious. If you love cabbage, you will love this casserole dish. Just have a little bit of tea just to wash that down. So this is it. This is as good as it gets. Casserole or cabbage casserole. And if you love cabbage, you're going to love this dish. And if you enjoyed this meal, please look at all of our other recipes that we get posted right now on YouTube and my website. And all you need to do is go in and subscribe. It's free, and hit the top link, subscribe. It'll prompt you to what you need to do, and we'll notify you each time we put a new recipe up. You can also visit me again on my website www.bonitaskitchen.com, on my Facebook page, or send me a tweet on Twitter. So I hope that you get to make this dish, and if you don't like any of the ingredients that's in it, you want to use a lean turkey, lean chicken instead of the lean ground beef, you do whatever. That is your dish. But for now, from my kitchen to yours, thank you for joining us, and you have a wonderful day.